Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I listened to Dr. Reinhardt, I want to make sure I didn't misread what she had said or misunderstand what she had said. I don't remember her saying directly that at 90% GDP, debt to GDP ratio, that all of a sudden we knew for a fact that economic growth would tank. What she did say is there is a correlation. We do see some of the numbers that show that the higher that ratio is, the more likely you're going to see some level of impact on growth. And so I think it's important to make the distinction. Correlation is not causation. Because if we automatically assume that at 90% we've hit that threshold and now all of a sudden things are going to go into the tank, then I think we're missing the point of trying to make sure that we engage in the right types of programs to do what I thought she said was important, which is to have a projected path that is sustainable. And so I get concerned when we talk about these numbers in isolation, because I don't think any of us assume that so many of our vets coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan would come back with so many different health conditions, most of them now attributable to the brain and other issues that previous vets had never faced, because they're surviving a lot of these injuries today. And so the cost to treat them is going to be far higher than it's ever been, even beyond Vietnam. If we talk only in terms of sheer numbers and we sort of mean everything within that, we may not be addressing the needs of our country. And I gave a simple example about our vets. The cost for Veterans Administration health care is going up, and it should, because we need to provide those warriors the care they deserve, having given of themselves the sacrifice that we would expect of anyone who puts on the uniform. And so my point is that all these numbers are good to give us some guides, the guideposts that we need, but I would hope that we don't peg this on numbers, and instead we peg it on what the needs are of the people of this country. Right now we're suffering major unemployment. 8 million Americans lost their job during this financial crisis-driven recession. We all of a sudden stop employment benefits, and you do nothing to help a lot of those folks. We've created over 500,000 jobs in the last few months, but that doesn't help you take into account the fact that there are 7.5 million other people that were left unemployed as a result of this recession. And on top of that, there were folks who were already unemployed. And so if we take a look at what the average American is having to face, instead of what just sheer numbers in some book tell us, I think we have a better sense of what will give us what Dr. Reinhardt said, which is a projected path that is sustainable to keep this country moving forward. And that, of course, will lead to economic growth. So I hope that we continue to talk about this in the context of how it affects everyday Americans who have to live through this crisis far more than those of us who are crunching these numbers.
But he seems to